Hey y'all, listen, check in. Progress of a widow, progress of a widow. Listen, first of all, today is the 7th. We got 14 days until my birthday. 14 days until my birthday, okay? So if your birthday is March 21st, hey, birthday twin. Hey, birthday twin. Okay, we are here. But listen, as we're here, there's a few things I want to bring to the table because what? It's an awareness. And this is how we process healthy grieving. So, one, I am in a reality of my grief. And what I mean by that is not just textbook style, right? Because you can get all the books you want to get and you can read. Okay? You can read about how to grieve, the best ways to cope with grieving, and none of those were going to make any sense to you. And I'm speaking from my own experience. I read, and it was all comprehensionable, but it didn't make sense because everything I read felt like it did not meet the criteria in which I needed help with grieving. So what I'm realizing is you get to a place of reality with your grief, which looks like accountability, it looks like sensitivity, and it looks like awareness. Some people like, yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware. No, most times we're not aware. If we're truly grieving, you're unaware. You're unaware of how you sound. You're unaware of how you look. You're unaware of how you responded. You're unaware of how your text message read. Like you're unaware because you're grieving. So, in the place of reality, you have to understand the awareness of it, right? And then you have to understand the accountability. The accountability is simply this. In the very beginning of my grieving process, I was harsh. Like, and when I say harsh, I mean like you can ask me a question, I'm gonna give you the honest to God truth, but my delivery was real harsh. Like, yeah, I said what I said. That's it. You ain't really trying to hear me. But the accountability part of that is being able to go back and say, no, I meant what I said, but let me approach it from a different place of sensitivity, right? And so once you get to that place, then you can identify within yourself that you are grieving healthy. Is that all day, every day? No, absolutely not. Because my late husband died in 2023. You would think mathematically, right, by normality. Okay, well, that was April. You had May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You had 8 months to start the grieving process. I didn't. I was hurt. Okay, my first 8 months of that was hurt, complete hurt. I was just hurt. My mind was hurting, my hair was hurting, my brain was hurting, my heart was hurting, my lungs was hurting. I was just hurt, right? It was like it was no comfort. I was just hurt, even though I walked in a place of peace with why he was gone. The why is not necessarily, it has no weight on the you're gone, right? So it was times I didn't even want to have to tell myself he was gone because for me, I didn't have to stress that part of my brain. My husband was always gone for military purposes, training purposes, stuff like that. He was always gone. So at some points of my mind, well, it's only been 3 months. He's, like I could lie to myself. I was lying to myself a lot of those times. 2024 came and then it became I just set everything aside. I didn't want to deal with nothing. I didn't want to deal with grief in no way. I just wanted to try to move on. I tried to move on, right? I tried to move past it. I had a little boo thing. I'm like, yep, my little yeah around. And I'm just trying to go through having to deal with grief. Well, that didn't work because me not processing my grief made him feel like I don't really know how I made him feel, but I understand how I made him feel, right? I made him feel like he was just there, which in the reality he was. However, nobody wants to feel like that. It don't matter who you are. Nobody wants to feel like that. Even if you're just talking to a person, even if it's just conversing, nobody wants to feel like they're just there. Everybody needs and wants to have a purpose for anybody, right? Be it the mother to child, be it the sibling to sibling, be it the friend to like whatever the relationship is, nobody wants to just be there. Everybody needs a reason, right? What am I needed for? Everybody needs that. It's a component that we're all built in with. And it's not a negative, but that's the accountability because now I have to sit in my reality and say, me pushing my grief to the side only made it harder. Not excusable, it's inexcusable, but a little harder for him to have a level of sensitivity with me because me setting everything to the side just made it look like, oh, well, you good. You good, right? I was never good. So now we're here, we're in 2025. And in 2025, I am operating in reality. So today, March 7th, my advice, my sovereign advice is operate in your reality. If it's not today, don't make it today, right? Don't make it today because you're going to force it and you really can't force it because if you force it, you're going to miss some of the pieces that you need that makes it easier to get through the day. So now I find myself like I'm apologizing to people. Let me say this on so many hands probably don't deserve an apology from me, but in a big place of being mature and accountable, I find myself apologizing because of how I didn't process the proper time frame. I'm not going to say it wasn't a proper grief. It just wasn't a proper time frame because if you can't stand and stand back to say, okay, me setting that aside didn't allow me to hear what nobody else had to say. No, it didn't. Cause I ain't gonna hold nobody. Transparency is key and it's the only way we can grow. So now I'm at a place where let's have some real conversations. Let's go and revisit some conversations that were had, but that were had at the wrong time. Right? Not that they wasn't conversations that was needed, it was at a wrong time. So I find myself having to have a lot of conversations over, not to change my choices and not to really deter me from what I got going on, but for the understanding of it. Because you're going to continue to go through something until you pass it, right? I read, I was listening to another content creator. She said, you keep yourself in cycles, not God. Precisely. So you're going to continue to go through things until you can answer the parts of the questions that are necessary before you get to that next stage. Why? 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 Yeah, it starts to sound like a little 5-year old, like, well, why? Why? And I can keep going through the level of, well, I'm grieving, but what stage am I grieving in? Where is my level of grief at? Am I grieving at a level 10 today on stage 2 or am I grieving at stage 10 level 1 because each stage has a level. I know, right? Anyway, this is the progress of a widow. I just wanted to come by and say that I am lifestyle and podcasting. Listen, y'all know where to find me, right? And we here. We processing.